What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Cjthecheesedj here, and we're back with another Arc Genesis video for you guys today. And today, guys, we are going over all the creatures they announced during the Extra Life event, the charity stream that they did. So, guys, first off, they managed to raise a whopping 180 grand. Over 180 grand. I think it was like 187 grand. Something like that. Massive amount of money for kids and sick kids and stuff like that. So, good job to Wildcard. But now we're going to go over the creatures that they released during their live stream. So each creature that they released has a general little bit of information about it, and then they've released sort of like a high-res picture with it. So there are a couple of them here. We're going to go through them. We're starting off with the Noglin. Now everyone pretty much knows what the Noglin is because A, you get its chibi in game, B, it's been in the trailer multiple times, and C, it's pretty much being like the sort of, not the flagship dino creature, but like they've kind of posted it everywhere sort of thing. So the Noglin here, he's absolutely terrifying to look at. He's cute when his mouth is closed, but the moment his mouth opens, oh my god, it is like you were teleported to another dimension where it wants to just devour you. Which, theoretically it does, because look at those teeth in that mouth, god damn. Now, this guy actually has a couple of abilities due to this. So, they've got in the description here, the Noglin may look cute, but don't be fooled. There's a mind-bending surprise in store when it wraps around the noggin of a target. It enables you to temporarily take control of enemy creatures, tames, or even other humans. Now, that's pretty groundbreaking. So, it's pretty much going to be like a face hugger, which is essentially, to me, what it sounds like. It just looks a lot cooler. So, face huggers are from like the Alien series, and pretty much they are like the spawns of the aliens, and they wrap themselves around your face, and they pretty much devour your face. Pretty much. That's the best way to sum them up. But the Noglin here, which I kind of get why he's called that now, which is very fitting because he goes for the noggin, can actually take control of creatures, tames, and other humans. So not only can you use it on wild creatures, you can also use it on tames as well as other players, which is pretty cool. Now, I'm not 100% sure how it's going to work, like whether or not you'll actually be completely in control of them, or whether or not you can just use your like whistles on them, like whistle to attack target, to follow ya, that sort of stuff. Because it says it enables you to temporarily take control. So I don't know how they would implement that with the Noglin. Maybe, I don't know, yeah, like I can't see you like sort of being like play as a dino and going into like the Noglin's mind thing. I don't know, maybe there's like a controller or something for you to do it on, but I don't see that being the case for this little dude. I'm thinking it's going to be along the lines of you being able to like whistle to attack target and like follow you and stuff like that. I'm thinking that's what it'll be like. And like if you want to use it on wild creatures, you can use that and then get them to walk into a trap so that you can tame them and stuff like that. But nonetheless, it sounds like a pretty cool feature, and I'm keen to see how they implement it into Genesis 2. So he's hoping that it goes pretty smoothly and that it's a pretty cool creature in addition to the game. Now, next up, we have the Shadowman. Now, the Shadowman, I'm not 100% sure if it was the same guy in the trailer. Part of me thinks it was because the similarities are very close. Like, hands down. The similarities between this guy and the guy in the trailer are very close. So I'm going to say the Shadowman and the guy in the trailer, the dino in the trailer, are the same thing. Nonetheless, you can see here, this chimerical prowler has powerful group cloaking abilities for all your sneaking needs. So group cloaking abilities essentially means that he'll be able to cloak you, your tame, a couple of his friends, a couple of your tames. It's probably going to be like a radius sort of thing, and everything inside of that radius will get cloaked. Not 100% sure once again how that will work, but I'm keen to see it implemented. It also says, while also making use of a lightning fast chain teleport strike that can decimate groups of targets. By the time its victims are aware of its presence, it's often already too late. So this line right here sounds to me very similar to the Cjthecheesedj's teleporting ability. Instead of the Cjthecheesedj taking his time and teleporting though, this guy will pretty much be instantaneously, and off that he will be able to do an attack. So it'll kind of be like the Cjthecheesedj's, like the Enforcer's teleport ability, except the attack will follow after that teleport ability. Nonetheless, this guy looks absolutely dope. His actual alias is called Lionfish. You can see up here. So when Genesis 2 drops, that's actually going to be his summon code, I'm guessing. It's not going to be Shadowman, it's going to be Lionfish. So I'm keen to see how this guy goes, and he's got kind of like sails / fins along his arm plates. So this guy looks semi-aquatic, and judging by his name, like Lionfish, I'm going to say you can take this guy into the water. Especially if you look along his back here, it looks like he's definitely got sort of fins and stuff like that. And his tail actually kind of looks like kelp or seaweed, which is really cool. And then his crest looks exactly like a lionfish. So if you haven't seen a lionfish, they're pretty cool looking. I really want one as a pet. But yeah, his face looks exactly like the mane of a lionfish. So that's pretty cool. We'll see how he goes. Next up, we have the Strider. Now this screams Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm only playing. So you can see here it's got Strider with harvesting attachment. So if you look up here into this one, you can see here that it doesn't actually have the harvesting attachment. Whereas this one down here, it does. And with that harvesting attachment, its whole head structure has actually changed. So instead of being sort of like this placid, just chillin' Strider, it's actually got a drill on its front. Its whole head has become sleeker, which is pretty cool. Now, if we come back into here and we read up on it, it says, better brush up on your hacking skills to claim one of these giant mechanical Striders. Patrolling the colony ship, they are outfitted with a variety of randomized individual components across their body, which gives each Strider a different potential set of unique skills, whether in defense, offense, or utility. So if we come back in here, it looks like that it says they're outfitted with a bunch of different utility tools. So my guess is that throughout this, they're going to be stored. So if we look into this picture here, you can see that it also doesn't have the same sort of neck structure. Its neck is kind of more compressed and closer towards its, I guess you could call it spinal cord up the top here, which once again is pretty cool. And it does hint at the fact that this guy is going to have multiple components. He's going to be either, you can turn him offensively, you can turn him defensively, you can use him as a utility dino to go about harvesting. So you can see he's got the harvesting attachment. He's probably going to have an offensive attachment where it'll be guns on the side, I'm guessing. I don't really see how else they'd be able to implement an offensive one, other than like turrets and stuff like that off the side of his face and like his body. And then defensive-wise, I would say he's going to be able to generate like a force field or something like that, similar to the mech that we've got. As well as that, he also has a bit of a platform up here. So whether or not we'll be able to use that as a platform base, which honestly I highly think it'll be the case, because it's called a Strider. So, you know, it's going to be striding everywhere. You're going to be able to build on its back. You're going to be able to live off the back of it, which is really cool. Don't get me wrong, the tech stuff I think is a little bit out there, but after Genesis, I think it does fit in the game more than it would before Genesis. I'm personally not the biggest fan of the tech stuff, but I mean, it's cool. It adds another layer to the game, which I think is a good thing as well. I'm just hoping it's not crazy hard to get these guys. Like, we won't have to kill anything or anything like that. It does say better brush up on your hacking skills. So maybe you'll have to hack the Strider in order to get access to it. I'm not 100% sure. Nonetheless, I am very keen for this guy and keen to see how it goes. So let's move on to the next one, which is the Astrodelphus. Now, this guy, he kind of looks like a narwhal minus the horn. Not gonna lie, he looks really cool. He's like the Cjthecheesedj and a dolphin mixed into one, and he looks majestic as heck. Hopefully he pulls off looking the same in the game. I know this is just like the concept art for it, and I'm hoping it looks the same in game, because it is magical to look at. And like, I love the little like rivets of like space goo coming off it down here. It makes it look all that much more mystical with the space backdrop. So let's come into here. This curious extraterrestrial creature may look like the cetaceans that once swam in Earth's ocean, but they seem to be at home in the interstellar medium, far from any planet's surface. Place the versatile tech-wing saddle on them and they're a veritable fighter spacecraft, capable of blasting targets out of the sky with lasers or homing charges or bombing them into oblivion. And yes, they can do a shot-repelling barrel roll. So straight off, this guy's obviously going to get a tech saddle, very similar to the Cjthecheesedj. It's going to have tech turrets on it. It's going to have carpet bombs like the Cjthecheesedj. And it's also going to have homing charges. So it sounds like it'll be like homing rockets or maybe homing mines, where it'll deploy them. And then if enemies get too close, the mines will then activate and chase after your enemies or whatever it is that's triggering them. I'm also keen for the shot-repelling barrel roll. So if you've ever seen like movies or anything like that where there's like fighter planes or helicopters or anything like that, fighter planes will do like barrel rolls to try and shake off missile fire or bullet fire, and they'll deploy flares and stuff like that. So it sounds like this guy's going to get very similar aspects of that sort of style to him, which will enable him to pretty much dodge shots, which is pretty cool. I'm honestly just keen to see how this guy looks in game, because I reckon if they do it right, he could look like one of the most majestic creatures that we have ever seen. So I'm really cool. I'm really keen to see what they look like in game. Nonetheless, so we've also got some Gen X variants. So similar to Genesis Part 1, we got a bunch of Genesis variants. And we've got 3 different variants here. We have the Reaper, which is pretty dope. It's got some really cool colors on this guy as well. It's got the Reaper. We've got the Equus, which kind of I'm vibing with like the last Genesis. And then we got the Dillo. Dillo looks sick. I like the Dillo, and obviously the Reaper are my favorite. But it's cool to see more Genesis variants included, because I genuinely thought we were going to get a lot more in Genesis. I also hope that there are more creatures than just this, because right now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 creatures. I'm really hoping they're bumping up the number of creatures in this Genesis Part 2, because Genesis Part 1, we had the Ferox, we had the Magmasaur, we had the Cjthecheesedj, we had the Megachelon, and that was it in terms of new... And the Bloodstalker. That was it in terms of new creatures. 5 new creatures. I'm pretty sure that was everyone. Ferox, Cjthecheesedj, Megachelon, Magmasaur, and the Bloodstalker. Yeah, so only 5. Looking at this, there's only 4 here. So I'm really hoping they can bump that number up to like 10. Especially considering the time frame that they've got. I really hope there's more than like 5 creatures. Because... it needs to. I just reckon it needs to increase the amount of creatures. Obviously, we're going to have the variants, but like I don't think they count as new creatures because they've just got different color schemes. That's pretty much it. And like patterning. So I really do hope they add more creatures. But nonetheless, guys, that's pretty much all the creatures that they've confirmed for Genesis 2. I'm most keen for the Shadowman, honestly, and the Astrodelphus. Really keen for those 2. Obviously, a lot of people are going to be keen for the Shadowman because he's really dope looking. I'm hoping he's at least the size of a Thylacoleo. I'm hoping he's nothing smaller like a Ravager or a Direwolf. I'm hoping he's at least the size of a Thylacoleo, because I reckon that's going to be a good size for him. Granted, they're supposed to be like stealthy and stuff like that, but if he can cloak himself, then why not make him the size of a Thylacoleo? So hopefully that's the case. But nonetheless, guys, we're going to wrap up the video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, don't forget to leave a like. Subscribe down below for more. But other than that, guys, I will catch you in the next one.